Okay, welcome back to the Tuesday show. We have a whole episode of AskUltraChen tonight, and that means that we're going to be answering your questions the whole time. So whatever you want to know, just let us know.
Okay, so let's get right back to it. Dino Pie wants to know, following up on yesterday's awesome show.
Oh, well,
okay,
thank
that's
you.
enough to say. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
okay.
get. What kind of adjustments could infiltration make to counter Daigo's adjustments? I mean, just at that one distance end that we kept talking about, just that he built his whole game plan fighting Daigo around that distance, right? So he focused very much at that distance. This is how I take advantage of Daigo. We saw that when they got a little further apart, Daigo was more free to throw fireballs. He wasn't thinking about jumping randomly at those ranges,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. He just has to look at those other distances where Daigo had the advantage and figure out how to turn those around a little bit, either by escaping those distances or by taking advantage of what it was that Daigo was doing.
Well, one of the things that I was thinking about was him to be less worried about the range outside of the strong range. So one thing that we brought up towards the end was that Daigo started to throw fireballs from farther away than you usually see Ryu players throw fireballs, because that's typically not an effective range. It only was an effective range in that set because of all the previous interactions that had gone on and their fights for the space that was just a little bit closer. So when Daigo spread it out a little bit, he was able to control things a little bit better.
Yeah.
One thing that infiltration could do is use that range to his advantage. Ryu at that range isn't really a threat. I mean, he can throw fireballs, but he's not really controlling space. Those fireballs can be entrances. They can be welcome mats that you use to step on to get over.
Right.
It's a little bit closer to Ryu. That's why it's typically not that great of a range to throw fireballs. So that's something to think about for infiltration, is how to use that range to his own benefit.
Yeah, and then like I said, like we pointed out, even towards the end of the set, it looked like infiltration was a little confused, right? If he studies that matchup and gets a better game plan in those distances, most of the time losing in a fighting game to a person better than you is about them putting you into a position where you don't know what to do. And you're like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And the best players out there have a response to every situation. One, because they've played the game so many times, so everything feels familiar. And two, they can think of stuff really fast. And three, because they study, right? And so infiltration got put into that by Daigo. And as we said, the first match that we watched, Daigo was put into that by infiltration. Daigo didn't look like he knew what it was doing. And see what he did, he studied up and all of a sudden it changed, right? So infiltration has absolutely the power to do that and just take it right back at him. And so that's why I said it's going to be so interesting if they really are going to play each other into Topanga League A. Dude, everyone's going to watch
That's going to be a good set. Yeah.
Everyone's going to watch that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Okay.
So, fighting games full of really dumb stuff are often fun and popular. So name some things that will certainly make a fighting game bad. So in other words, not even fun and popular, but actually bad.
Okay. Is he saying that? Well, I don't want to get into that. So what mechanics would make a game bad and unpopular nowadays? I mean,
Parries.
you don't. I know you don't like them.
I know. I'm never a fan of parries.
I like parries, but it's just a very different game with a parry. It's not, in my opinion, it's not as strategic, but it can be still a very interesting mix-up heavy game. And I mean, whatever. I really like Third Strike in the end. So, the only thing I can really think of is just a game that is so slow. If a game were to come out that were to be Street Fighter 2 World Warrior Speed, that game is dead. It's dead on arrival.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than that, I mean, at this point we have so many fighting games that are so different and with such different mechanics of, I mean, I don't know what the major differences, like what else do you come up with at this point? I feel like we've had 2 decades of experimenting with what a fighting game can be.
Dude, there's a lot of crazy things I think people can come up with. Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways.
Okay.
But I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the things people are saying here. But I mean, even something like X Factor, right? That's obviously the big elephant in the room, right? Right now, I actually like all of X Factor except the damage.
Dude, I 100% agree with you. If X Factor 3 damage, X Factor 2 maybe damage was toned down, I would really like that mechanic.
Dude, I love the mind games that come, like, it's this crazy powerful resource,
Yeah.
and it is the fourth character. The game is 4v4, right? It's not actually 3v3. It's 4v4 because it's three characters and an X factor. That's how you always look at it, right? X factor is always like, do you sacrifice an X factor early to kill the opponent's character? Because if you do, are you really winning? If you kill one character with one X factor, that doesn't necessarily mean you're winning, right?
I never really thought about that. That's interesting.
It's kind of that way, and just like watching when they activate it, especially when you watch someone like a Filipino champ or Shady K commenting a match, they're always like, I wouldn't use X Factor here. I wouldn't use X Factor here. And then the guy pops X Factor and you're like, they're like, So there's like this weird, like kind of strategic part about X Factor that I really like now. So
somebody brought up Connect. I would hate to play a Connect fighting game.
Yeah, okay.
But that said, theoretically, I don't think it's that terrible an idea. It's just, I think it would suck with the Kinect, but like maybe in some crazy future technology, I could imagine that being a little bit more interesting. I don't want to do it personally. I would not play that personally, but an interesting idea maybe.
What I want to do is make it so that if you're playing Kinect, it can detect when you smile, and if you smile, then your character is like faster, and like the more angry you get, like. And then if it detects your blood pressure, if it detects that you're like, your blood pressure's going up, then your character starts. It's like rage meter in no.
Wow. So like, I imagine like 50% rage meter being like your character is faster and does more damage and everything's good, and then at 100% rage factor, you drop all of your combos. You can't do anything anymore. You can't get the wake up timing.
Dude. I'm sorry. I'm like the
stupid.
Connect just scares the crap out of
Stupid.
me. I'm sorry. And you saw those recent articles that were being posted, right? Where they were pretty much admitting that they're going to use it to spy on you. Oh my god.
The dude called it a TV that watches you. That was Xbox marketing VP, whatever his name was.
Like,
why would he say that?
Basically telling everybody that this is the worst machine to put in your living room ever.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I can't even imagine what went through his head at that time, but very stupid.
Oh man.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay. So, if you could choose a martial art that hasn't been represented yet for the fifth character in USF4, what would you choose? That's really interesting because I know there was a martial art that like a long time ago that I've always wanted to put in here that's never showed up, and I can't remember what it is now. I
guess Elena's going to be in there, so Capoeira will be represented.
Yeah.
That was something I used to do that I really loved.
Well, technically, Blanca does Capoeira.
That's right, yeah.
He's about as much Capoeira as Ryu and Ken are Shotokan.
Right, yeah. Yeah, he was from Brazil. It's a good question. I'm not sure.
I know there was something, because that's the thing, right? I'm a fan of taking the fighting styles. That's the old school mentality of the Street Fighter game, right? And bringing all the different martial arts together, that blood sport kind of mentality. Yeah. Which is why I really like Juri and Hakan, right? Because Turkish oil wrestling is a real thing, right? Obviously, Taekwondo is a real thing, right? And how have they not had one up until then? Yeah. This is one of the reasons why I do like Armika, because in Japan, that female wrestling league is very popular. So it's based on a real thing. It's the reason why, honestly, I'm not a fan of the Street Fighter 3 character design.
Oh, right? Is that so?
Yeah, because like, what is Oro? What is Yuri?
Nothing.
What is Necro? Yeah. It's actually the thing that I dislike about him the most.
I never heard you say that before.
And that's why, like, out of all those characters, my favorite are Makoto and Dudley and Alex, because it's wrestling, boxing, and Shotokan. You know, so those, and even Ibuki, who I don't really like, I still like better than the other characters because she's a ninja.
Right.
You know,
I can see that. I guess.
Styles. So. Gosh, but like they've represented so many different fighting styles now, it's really hard to say.
Maybe we can finally get a Jewish character in that does the Israeli martial art Krav Maga.
That would be sick.
What about that?
Actually,
what about that?
I am so down for that.
I did Krav Maga for a while.
Really?
Class 2 was how to choke people out, and then the next class involved like eye gouging, and there was like knives after that. The thing about that martial art is that it would be tough to have in a fighting game because it's all about just completely killing the other person, not in the figurative sense. It's like actually a martial art in the sense of like it's military.
It's designed to kill people.
So that'd be tough.
Okay.
But it'd be nice to finally get a Jewish character in a game.
Yeah. I think that would be.
I would
cool,
have to.
actually.
I wouldn't have to keep making up this Rugel Bernstein thing.
Oh my gosh.
That's all I have.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Let's move on. So, what are your favorite crossover / versus fighting game of all time? What's your favorite crossover versus fighting game of all time? Huh. Interesting. I guess you could only count like the Mortal Kombat versus DC, all the Street Fighter crossovers, Marvel
Capcom
versus
SNK, Marvel vs. Capcom, SNK versus Capcom.
Oh yeah. I mean, we probably can't count any of like the Namco X Bandai. I mean, Namco X Capcom, because those are actually tactics games, not fighting games.
What about? I don't know. Is King of Fighters considered a crossover because it incorporates characters from
The original one? Yeah, actually.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it probably counts up till about like 98, and then it just becomes its own thing, right? But for sure, yeah, because it brought the Art of Fighting characters, the Fatal Fury characters, and...
What about Soul Calibur with like Yoda and Link?
My favorite was
Spawn.
Link, actually. I thought Link was a really cool addition, because he had a weapon. It made sense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then maybe the new DOA has Jackie and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
It's CVS2 for me, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably have to pick something like either MVC2 or MVC3. I mean, I loved the MVC1 at the time just because like Mega Man was in it and all this other stuff, and I was just like, this is so cool. But at this point, like, I mean, for me, a game like Marvel vs.
Smash Brothers, maybe somebody says.
Oh, actually, if that counted.
I might have to say Melee, actually. Yeah. That might be number 2 after CVS2 for me.
I mean, I love UMVC3 just because of the art style.
Yeah.
The characters in that game, just like from a not from a fighting game mechanic standpoint, but from just how awesome like the characters look and act and stuff. I would probably go with something like Marvel.
I can see
Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
That game looks like the characters are supposed to look.
Yeah, and to me, it still has probably one of the most beautiful intros like ever.
Copied by a ton of games after that, by the way.
Including Injustice, which is just like the biggest
super blatant
WTF ever. Yeah. But yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Okay, cool.
All right, next one. Why does Cammy receive the hate that she does? It's not like she's the most broken character in fighting game history.
And I wanna point out to some people here. Here, let's do this real quick. Obviously,
do you want to expand this a little bit? I see.
That's
the art of the person who sent it, huh?
It's on the web
Wait,
page.
Who sent it? Go back to the thing. Zach Burgess.
Iroquois Pliskin.
Okay.
So obviously a person who likes Cammy a lot here.
I guess so. Cammy gets a lot of hate because she's easy. She's a very simple character in terms of strategy in Street Fighter 4 AE 2012. Mm-hmm. You hold toward on the stick. Sometimes you hold up toward. You expecting me to say anything more? Because I felt like I covered it. I felt like that was it. Well, sometimes you press some buttons, and they're all really good buttons. I mean, it's just so.
Oh man.
I mean, she's not broken. You're totally correct. She's not the best character in that game. We both think Akuma's the best character. I just think that she gets so much hate because she is easy in a way that most other characters aren't. I would say the easiest character in terms of strategy is Sakura. But Sakura at least takes a lot of execution for her bigger combos. Cammy is easy. I can do Cammy stuff. It's not that big a deal.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess so. Sakura's probably a little bit more tight with a lot of the links and stuff like that. So, I mean, honestly, I don't know what it is, but Cammy has always just been one of those characters that like people like outside of the game. But don't really seem to like inside the game as much for some strange reason.
She was popular in CVS too.
Yeah, but people hated her in that game,
She was
too.
really good in that game.
Yeah, that game you held forward on the controller and hit buttons.
I mean, that game you hit buttons with her, and she was
Yeah,
good.
you just held forward and hit fierce and roundhouse.
roundhouse
Counter
turned
hit,
into-
super. Woo! Yeah, that game, she was ridiculous. Like, she had real footsies in CVS, too.
Oh, yeah.
I like, someone actually said, what if they took Cammy in Ultra and just got rid of her dive kick completely, but left her how she is? I would say she would be one of the worst characters in the game, because I still think she has terrible footsies. I think she has one of the worst set of footsies
I don't think it's that
tools.
bad.
It's pretty bad.
I think she's bottom half in that, but like 18th rather than being like
Okay.
30th.
Okay. I mean, like I said, I can say this with confidence because Justin agrees with me. So
Okay.
Justin says her normals are ass. Like, he actually says that. So, but yeah, but I don't know. Like, I just feel like I don't know why she gets so much hate.
I think
to
it's
be
the
honest with
ease.
you.
I think it's the ease.
The ease. Okay. Okay.
My own opinion.
Okay.
All right. Next one, please.
Okay.
What do you think the big mechanic will be in Street Fighter V? This reminds me of, remember like 10 years ago on Shoryuken.com? It seemed like every week somebody would come in and they'd have a great idea for Street Fighter 4.
Uh-huh.
What do you think about this idea for Street Fighter 4? And we'd be like, look, noob, there's not going to be a Street Fighter 4.
Ever.
It's been almost a decade since the last Street Fighter. They have forgotten about it, all right? Just leave it alone. That's how I kind of feel about this. I don't know if there will be a Street Fighter 5. We keep hearing about how Capcom is having issues. So I don't know what, like, why people think that it's gonna happen. Maybe it'll happen. I'm not ruling that out,
Yeah.
of course, but I just don't feel like it's a, like, close enough possibility that it's...
Mm-hmm. Hey, look, I mean, before Street Fighter 3 came out, everyone kept talking about this concept of a mechanic where you hit forward on a controller and, like, it would parry moves.
Really?
Yeah, people talked about it on the forums. Like, this is what they would like to see.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, and there was even this big, giant survey they put out at one point in time where they just asked all these questions, like, what characters would you like to see? And all
Capcom
this
did.
stuff. Yeah, uh-huh. And a lot of people answered these things, and they talked about parry mechanics and stuff like that. I remember
Wow.
because me and my brother, when we got a hold of that survey, I mean, obviously it's me, right? We wrote essays,
Oh, yeah,
like,
no,
for
I would've done that.
everything, right? We were like, it was like one simple question. It's like, have fun, Capcom.
Yeah.
You know, but the parry came out, and, you know, in the original Street Fighter 3, it was really broken.
For sure.
It was really broken because down parries were too powerful. Down parries, there was no moves that if you could low block it, you could down parry it, right? So there wasn't any moves that were specifically high parries.
Wasn't the window bigger, too, than in Third Strike?
It probably was, yeah, but down parry just basically destroyed everything. And so, you know, we can talk about all these great mechanics right now or whatever like that, or that we think will be amazing, and in practice they'll probably be terrible unless you completely refine them, you know? So, I don't know. And as you said, we have just gone through, like, every mechanic in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's not the case, but I mean, I'm pretty much open. I don't come into a new fighting game thinking like this is what I really want to see. This is the mechanic that I'm looking for. I'm not a game designer, so when I approach a game, I'm just looking to see what somebody made.
Yeah, it's so funny. So, I mean, just a comment. Doc Wiley says, S-Kill was hired, no love for James, right? And honestly, back then, if you hired me to make a fighting game, I would have made the worst fighting game in the world.
Yeah.
It would have been so complicated.
Uh-huh.
It would have been like, it just would not have been fun.
Okay,
Like,
yeah.
it probably would have been fun to like 10%, like 10 people.
Okay.
I think I could make a fighting game better now than I could have back then, just because I understand a stronger balance between viewership through simplicity, through complexity, through depth. I have this a much broader understanding of what a fighting game means. So
Okay.
there we go.
All right, let's
Okay.
take one more and then we'll take a break.
Sure. Who are your top 5 best players of the character Dudley in 2012?
What a random question, man. I could name you 2 good players. I keep seeing Smug. Smug seems like he's really good with that character.
Yeah.
And there's a character whose name I don't actually remember, but it was something like HPKN M. You know what I'm talking about, guys?
I mean, Marn still plays him.
What's this dude's name?
Joe Dubs.
Joey Dubs.
Joe
Okay.
plays really good. So
HJMXP.
dude, people are just mashing the keyboard.
No, I think that's it.
No, they are mashing. That is straight up.
I
some
think
mash.
that's it. I'm not gonna say Marn because Marn doesn't play Street Fighter 4 anymore and hasn't in years, literally. Maybe he's mashed on it a couple of times, but he's not gonna be in there.
So people are saying it is HJ.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's something like that. He seems really good.
There's like no Dudleys, I swear.
Those two guys, and then Joe Dublino, I guess. From
and then by default, I'm just gonna say Dako because he's
You're just guessing, huh?
He plays everybody.
Why not?
And I saw he did play him a little bit at Canada, like on stream, I think, randomly or something. I don't remember, but dude, he plays everybody, so I'm just gonna say him.
I wish I could say more, man. That's one of the characters who I don't see very often. All right.
Man. Do you consider Pocket Fighter a crappy game?
No, I enjoyed it. I don't know too much about it because I didn't take it seriously, but it seemed like it was fun. I liked the graphics in it, certainly, and I thought the whole gem mechanic was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super simple game. I was actually really interested in the costume combos because of all the tree paths that you could go.
I remember you making the little pun awareness of costume, custom.
Which is interesting because it's a parody of the American name for it. Because in Japan, custom combos are called original combos. And then in America, they changed it to custom combos, and then they made costume combos. Yeah. But, I mean, it was just really interesting to me because it was kind of a mechanic that I was always interested in. Like, I wanted to create, for a fighting game, for example, a character with rekkas. But every button combination did something different. So, like, you could do stuff that was designed for frame traps. Some would be overhead, some would be low.
That'd be crazy.
Some of them just do more damage for hit confirms and stuff like that. And costume combos kind of like that, right? It was always first attack, then it was a second attack, then it would branch off into either overhead or a throw or unblockable or a low hit, you know, kind of things like that. That part was kind of interesting to me. I've never seen any like actual competitive Pocket Fighter.
Me neither.
So I have no idea how the game actually plays.
No clue. All right, let's take a break.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and actually, Brew Noodles brings up a good point. It's very similar to Karen, because Karen has rekkas and kind of does all sorts of things like that. But, yeah. In any case, okay.
All right, let's take a break for the second time that I asked you to take a break.
Really?
I'm out of here.
Dude, come on, man. Give me a break here. I'm trying to respond to the people on the stream, all right? Like, that's what I try to do.